Hello, everybody! It's so lovely to have you here again. Now, I know this is normally the time where we will be treating you to the next brilliant episode of Icewind Dale, Rime of the Frostmaiden. Unfortunately, I've got COVID, as do some other members of the cast, meaning, unfortunately, we are not able to gather in the same room today. Which is also why why you're treated to the zombie version of your beloved DM today. So instead, today we will be giving you last week's recap, and we should be back with the next proper episode next Wednesday. Apologies for this. And apologies for my general state. But luckily you do get to hear me speak in this glorious, glorious baritone. So, let's run over what happened in last week's episode of Mild Magic, Icewind Dale. Last we left off, the party had just witnessed the last vision of Hethel, the soothsayer, before her demise. Oster appropriately had a little bit of a panic about the whole situation, before remembering the white tiefling, Avarice, who they met in the basement below the care. When they went to check out, however, the party found that the trapdoor had been blasted open from the inside out, and there was no sign of their foe. Deciding there was nothing they could do about that, the party checked in on the remaining servants still at the keep. The cook and the kitchen boy, and upon finding them unharmed, headed down into the town to find the speaker and the rest of the townsfolk. They found everyone in the tavern celebrating being reunited with their friends and families, and the party were thanked heartily, and were offered a place to stay at the castle whenever they needed it. Upon returning to the castle with the speaker and other townsfolk, the party decided to help clean it up after its inhabitation by murderous cultists. Oster took responsibility for the dead below the care, who included no townsfolk but a few cultists. They burned their bodies and offered their usual final rites. Baroth, meanwhile, used his channel divinity to mould the pieces of shardlin he had into a warhammer head, using the logic that it was easier to have one piece of evil metal and carry around a bag full of little pieces of evil metal. Tonach and Lucius used the time to befriend the dogs of the care. After staying a day or so, the party returned to the city of Bryn Shander to get their reward from Will for slaying the assassin Sefik Caltro. Lucius decided the best way to do this was to brandish Caltro's decapitated head, and did so again when the party visited Captain Southwell. They also found out that Captain Scath from Targos was spreading the lie that Caltro still lived, and was still a threat to 10 towns at large. And the party asked that Southwell not tell Scath of the party's hand in slaying Caltro, as there was already bad blood between them. Next, the party decided to head to the Dwarven Valley, a massive monument, to visit Baroth's family to find out if they knew anything about the Duragar and the Shardling. En route, the party discussed whether they should have a name, as they'd been acting as a band of mercenaries for a few weeks now. Lucius brought up that he thought that this was perhaps what it was like to have a band, prompting Oster to suggest the party name be Lucius and the Lightbringers. Eventually, the party arrived at the entrance to the Dwarven Valley, a massive monument of a pair of stone axes, perhaps fallen from some previous stonework, said to predate the dwarves' occupation of the valley. The party didn't get to admire them long, however, as they were attacked by a terrifying troll. Baroth was quickly dropped below 0 hit points by the creature's relentless attacks, and it looked like the end for him. But luckily for him, Lucius had a ghostly tale of a runaway on hand, and teleported himself, Tonach, and Baroth to a 30-foot distance and healed the Dwarven cleric with their bonus action. Tonach then scooped up Baroth, and the party ran across the bridge to the gates of the Dwarven Valley, with Baroth managing to get in a stunning critical hit with his guiding bolt. As the Lightbringers departed, the echoes of the troll's angry wail followed them. "I'll find you again." When the party descended below, they found themselves in a long, pleasantly warm cavern city, with a host of dwarvish occupants looking askance at this bunch of blood-soaked non-dwarves. They headed to the home of the Bloodhammer clan, hoping to find respite and welcome, but discovered the house empty and unoccupied. Baroth, confounded, visited a neighbour who said simply that they had no idea where the Bloodhammers had gone, but that they'd been gone at least a week. And after a short rest, Oster headed into the city to purchase some crystals they might use for the augury spell, while Lucius and Tonna asked around about the Bloodhammer clan. Baroth visited the library to look at maps of the mines and research Xardorok's sunlight. Lucius and Tonna found nothing new, but Baroth does discover that the Sunblight clan are an old noble family of Duragar from the Deep Capital, devotedly dedicated to the Duragar deity, Deep Duera. That evening, while Oster makes a potion, Baroth had a long, hard think about the last time he saw his family. They'd been drawing straws to see who would go out and try to find the source of Oral's wrath. That much he remembered, but on deeper thinking he remembered with a jolt that his sibling, Ari, had moved the straws around in their hand before Baroth drew. They'd rigged it so that he'd be the one to go. The party weren't sure what to make of this. Did Ari have good intentions or bad ones? That night they all slept in Baroth's family's empty home. In the morning, Oster asked the trees via augury if they'll learn anything else by staying in the Dwarven Valley, but they got the distinct impression that they've found all that there is to be found here. The party reassured Baroth that they'll do their best to find out what's happening to his family, and then set out once more into the snow, this time bound for Caer Konig, a town that Hethel named as somewhere Xardorok's fortress might be gathering. In the twilight snow, the party were relieved to find no trolls, but after a few hours walking, they did find a snowy polar owlbear, hungry, looking around for something to eat. And that is where we'll pick up next week, this exact time at 6:30 p.m. right here on our Twitch channel. So, my friends, apologies for the slightly chaotic stream today. It has been a strange one, with me not really being at the top of my game, as I'm sure you can hear. Luckily and hopefully, by Wednesday next week, we will be all recovered, and we look forward to seeing you then. Thank you so much to Izzy for writing this brilliant little recap, and of course, catch us live next Wednesday. The art you've seen today was supervised by Kate Irwin, the designer of it. It is absolutely brilliant. Until next Wednesday, bye friends.